We wanted you to react to the posts that China's Vice Foreign Minister Hua Chunying posted today, which were reposted by the Chinese Embassy in Manila, by the way. And the first one I'm going to read out loud says, who has sovereignty over Ren'ai Jiao or Ayungin? They call it Ren'ai Jiao, of course. China has indisputable sovereignty over Nansha Kundao, including Ren'ai Jiao and the adjacent waters. This has been established in the long course of history and is consistent with international law, including the UN Charter. None of us are lawyers here. Professor J, please dissect it for us.
I think it's proper to call that legally as bovine excrement. That's completely untrue. Ayungin Shoal, or what they call Ren'ai Reef, is a submerged part of the sea, and the sea traditionally has never been subject to claims of sovereignty. China is more than 1,100 miles or no, kilometers away from Ren'ai Reef, that they call it, or Ayungin Shoal, and this is open water. So how can a country that far ever exercise sovereignty over this area? Besides, the extension of state sovereignty into the sea, meaning from their coast out to the seaward, no, is limited to 12 nautical miles. And China never played a role in the development of marine international law. So there's no way by which they can establish that they had sovereignty over this area for a long time, even if they claim to have been the first civilization here more than 2,000 or 5,000 years ago, whatever it is that their books say. So this is completely untrue.
Okay, Professor, when you say sovereignty, that means being within the 12 nautical miles of territorial sea, am I correct? That applies to the territorial sea.
That is the accepted means by which a state may have sovereignty over any part of the ocean. You have to measure a distance from the coast, and the standard right now is 12 nautical miles. No? And it has evolved a little bit because of the concept of baselines, but basically it's 12 nautical miles from your land territory. And here, obviously, China's land territory is very far away, more than 1,100 kilometers, as I mentioned.
Could it be because they occupied Subi Reef and are claiming 12 nautical miles around it?
No. Yes, no. It's not possible to do it from Subi Reef because Subi Reef is also very far away from Ayungin Shoal. I think it's more than, if I remember correctly, more than 100 nautical miles, I think. No? So it's impossible for them to be claiming that to be part of the territorial sea of any island feature, actually, because there are no nearby island features or high tide elevations, even just rocks. No, there are that are above water at high tide. There's none. No, and this is actually a factual finding of the 2016 South China Sea arbitration, where the tribunal examined the available information as of 2013, 2014. No, this was before all of this reclamation activity took place in the region. And they found that really, from all available data, including Chinese nautical charts and ours, Ayungin Shoal is a submerged portion of the sea, and therefore it can never be subjected to any claim of territorial sovereignty. And that's why the tribunal then concluded that the only state that can possibly have any rights to Ayungin Shoal would be the Philippines, because it would then be part of its EEZ and continental shelf, which entitles the Philippines to the natural resources in that area, including the coral, the fisheries, any minerals, and whatever other economic resources there may be.
Speaking about the arbitration, the South China Sea arbitration was unilaterally initiated by the Philippines. This is what the second statement says, that the South China Sea arbitration was unilaterally initiated by the Philippines, focused on territorial issues not subject to UNCLOS. The arbitral tribunal exercised jurisdiction ultra vires, erred in applying the law, and violated the principle of state consent, UNCLOS, and general international law. Help us understand that, please.
Well, you can consider this as like food. It's baloney. The tribunal made it very clear on page 2, in fact, of the decision. It states very clearly that none of the tribunal's decisions in this award, I'm quoting it, I'm reading it to you, none of the tribunal's decisions in this award are dependent on a finding of sovereignty, nor should anything in this award be understood to imply a view with respect to questions of land sovereignty. So that's very clear, and that's in the opening pages of the arbitration award. So clearly this statement is a lie, an outright lie.
What does that mean, ultra vires, by the way? The arbitral tribunal exercised jurisdiction ultra vires.
Ultra vires is like it's beyond its powers, beyond its jurisdiction, which again is not true because the jurisdiction of the tribunal is based on UNCLOS and the fact that states ratified UNCLOS and therefore committed to implement its provisions, including the dispute settlement provisions on which this arbitration was based. And China ratified the UNCLOS in 1996. No? So they cannot say that this is beyond the powers of the tribunal because they signed on to the convention. They entered into an agreement, no? That expressly recognized the jurisdiction of these tribunals to settle disputes.
All right. Professor, let's move on to another slide that they posted on Facebook. It says, and I'm going to quote, who has repeatedly broken commitments, or again, who has repeatedly broken commitments. The Philippines promised to tow away ASAP, or ASAP, the warship grounded at the Ren'ai back in 1999, but has never honored its word. Instead, it has kept sending vessels carrying construction materials to the waters of the Ren'ai for reinforcement of the warship and permanent occupation of the reef. Your thoughts, Professor? I think we have lost. Are you still there?
You may be on
Professor?
mute, Professor.
This is like the part of a ship. It's called bunk. Okay. This is not true. There is no record. Even they cannot show any kind of record of any supposed promise on the part of the Philippines. And we've had several presidents extending all the way to Joseph Estrada, no? Clearly stating that they never entered into any such agreement. Okay. If there's anyone who has not been following promises and agreements, it's China, because on 23 March 1999, for example, Wang Yi, who is now the foreign minister, stated that the facilities on Mischief Reef were supposedly will remain civilian in character, no, and will be open to joint use. No? And look at what it is now. It's a full-blown military base. Even the establishment of Mischief Reef itself, the facilities there, their own documentary, which was broadcast in 2013, celebrates the fact that it was a covert operation deliberately undertaken by them through, basically through deception and stealth, no, to establish a new facility close to the Philippines. No? And they've also promised, for example, they signed on to the Declaration of Conduct that they will not change the status quo. Well, that's what they've been doing all this time. No, they created artificial islands, for example. What bigger change in the status quo can you expect? The Philippines, on the other hand, has always maintained our islands in their natural state and has minimized the impact of our presence there. The Philippines has maintained the BRP Sierra Madre since 1999 in that area. It's never touched. But China began interfering with our resupply there, starting initially in 2013 and now 2014, and now they're continuously doing it, no? And they've been forcing our fishermen away from our own waters. I mean, what kind of a change in the status quo is that? It's certainly far more than anything we've ever done in the West Philippine Sea. So this is really totally contrary to the truth.